Things took a turn for the worse in the hospital. Hey, what's shaking bacon? My name's Bruno Panucci. I hope you're doing well. So for those of you who might be new to this channel, I turned to Carnivore a while after I came down with heart disease. I had a major heart attack in 2015, and in 2018, I tried doing Carnivore. Carnivore seemed to correct most of my health problems, but still struggled to manage my high fasting insulin. It's really one of the only symptoms I have left, and any complications I have with other health problems, what very few there are, including obesity, seem to be stemmed around my high fasting insulin. What seems to work best for me for weight loss is just regular Carnivore. Simple as that, just regular Carnivore. What makes me feel the best is high-fat Carnivore. Interestingly enough, I put on weight with high-fat Carnivore, but I digress. Anyway, I had open heart surgery just a couple weeks ago. Coming up tomorrow. Open heart surgery went well. My voice is a little flat because I had that breathing apparatus down my throat. I had the tube down my throat. And so they said I'd be talking like this for a little while afterwards. But overall, the procedure went extremely well. I was concerned because I'm a big guy. I'm over 300 pounds. And they were like, nah, it's not a worry anymore. Not like it was. So they did 5 bypasses on me. And they took my radial artery from my left hand. So I no longer have a radial pulse. So the other area the doctor took a vein from was my inner thigh. So from my groin down past my knee on my left leg, they made an incision, and they, interestingly enough, do layers of stitching from the inside out. They also take a little artery from the inside of my chest. And with that, they did their job. They did a great job. Everything went fine. I was doing fine during recovery. I felt like they broke a rib, or at least dislocated a rib. Dislocated might be a strong word. A rib that's out of joint. I've had that before. I've treated lots of clients with that before. And imagine your ribs like this, right? Like rib, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one of them is just a little twisted, right? Just that. So that caused a lot of pain. Aside from that, the pain wasn't too bad after the surgery. I was on liquid morphine and everything was going well. They weaned me off of that. The real pain was in my chest where that rib was out. And after that, everything seemed fine. But I had low blood pressure because they had me on blood pressure medication. And this is where the complication set in. So by the last day and a half I was in the hospital, well, the last day and a half I was supposed to be in the hospital, they also put me on a diuretic. So I was urinating out about 1 liter every 2 hours. Combine that with low blood pressure medication, and it's really going to screw around with things. My low blood pressure got down to 77/57. When that happened, they're like, okay, we're just going to lower your blood pressure meds and you can be on your way. So I was like, okay, good. So it was around noon. I went to the bathroom to wash up. I went and had a bowel movement, and then I, cleaned myself, and then I was going to wash myself up, just doing some spot washing because I brought some soap and they had some towels for me. Physiotherapist said I was doing great. I did notice the last day I was there with that low blood pressure, I had a little bit of brain fog. But overall, I was doing pretty good. By that point, I was already doing stairs, no problem. I have 9 stairs going up to my door. So I wanted to make sure I could do a flight of stairs. Wasn't an issue. I had good energy. I had good strength. They were really impressed with how well I was doing. My cuts were healing well. Everything was going well, except for this episode that happened. While I was washing up in the bathroom, I started to feel lightheaded. Well, I didn't really feel lightheaded. It was more of just feeling weak. And I was thinking, you know what? Better play it safe. I'm going to take a seat. So in the bathroom in hospitals, they have the toilet, and then they have that, it's called a vestibule or something, where it sits over the toilet. I had already taken that out from over the toilet and put the back of it against the door, 90 degrees off from the toilet. It's like they were like this. This was the toilet and this was the vestibule. It wasn't like it was lined up like this. It was off center. So I sat down and I thought, okay, playing it safe. And I thought, you know what? I also better play it safe. I'll hit the alarm code for the nurse. Just let them know, hey, someone needs assistance. Hit the alarm code, sat back, and I thought, oh, I better make sure the door's unlocked. Looked back, got up, undid the doorknob, and I just sat there and I thought, okay, I'll wait. Before I knew it, I was opening my eyes and I heard alarms and I heard a huge amount of commotion. My face had hit the wall, I assume, because I'm bruised and a little bit battered over here from that, but it's healed now quite a bit. And my neck was like contorted back. So like my ear was kissing my shoulder, and I was slumped over the toilet. Now, I don't know how I got in that position because, like I said, the vestibule is here. If I would have fallen forward, I would have fallen in front of the toilet on the floor. But I somehow managed to fall over the toilet, chest down with a broken sternum over the toilet. I remember waking up thinking, as I came to, thinking, I don't remember being in this position. Something happened and I must have passed out. And so the nurses are trying to sit me up. So they sat me up on the toilet and then I passed out again. And then I don't remember passing out each time. I only remember waking up. And I woke up and there was even more commotion and they were like trying to wake me up and everything, like just kind of patting my cheeks and stuff. And they said, let's get him onto that seat again. So they took me from the toilet and moved me over to that seat, right? So I had to do most of the moving because I'm a big guy and it was all nurses and I was incredibly sweaty, probably because of the lack of oxygen. I passed out again and they woke me up. And I passed out again and they woke me up. They wheeled me out of the bathroom. And when I got wheeled out of the bathroom, it felt like everyone on the floor was there. There were multiple doctors. There were multiple nurses. And they were all running around doing their job, doing their thing. And I just remember just feeling weak. And they wheeled me over to my bed and I passed out again. And like I said, I never remembered passing out. I only remember waking up. So every time I'd be sitting there and then things would be black and I'd hear a bunch of commotion and people were trying to wake me up. It happened again. I must have passed out quite a few times. And just that time I woke up in the bathroom to the time I got to my bed, 4, maybe 5 minutes. But here's the issue. When I hit that alarm in the bathroom, it was the nurse's lunch break. So it probably took them a few minutes to get to me because I've seen people in the hospital when they hit that alarm, the nurses, depends on the nurse, they will rush over or they'll just take their time. And if they're busy, they get to you when they get to you. So I'm sure I was passed out for a few minutes and that couldn't have been good, lying on my chest with a broken sternum. When they helped me get back into my bed, everything balanced out, but they couldn't even stick the ECG stickers to me to test if everything was okay because I was so sweaty. They're the ones that kept talking about how sweaty I was. They had to have, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 nurses, each holding them on my body so that they could get a reading to make sure everything was okay with my heart. Because they needed to rule out it was some damage to my heart that caused me to pass out. They eventually realized it was my low blood pressure. I can't believe it. I was getting ready. I was getting washed up because I was getting discharged. They were going to discharge me with that ridiculously low blood pressure. Could you imagine if one of my family members, my dad, was taking me home and I passed out getting out of his van, or I passed out getting into his van? Like, could you imagine what would an 85-year-old man do in a situation like that? I was really upset that they were trying to do something stupid like that, playing around with my blood pressure when I don't have high blood pressure to begin with. So I had to stay in the hospital for an extra day. It probably would have been smart to stay in there for an extra 2 days because I remember when they wheeled me out of the bathroom, I was thinking, oh, there goes my back. I could feel my low back. And it was that first clink. If you've ever had low back pain, you know what I'm talking about. You can feel when that first bit goes, and my sacroiliac joint got thrown out. And when my sacroiliac joint gets thrown out, my erector spinae group, going up and down the sides of the spine, get weak and they get tired and they just can't handle the pressure and they get thrown out. And I need a chiropractic adjustment to adjust my SI joint to my pelvis to align everything. Now, I just never get success trying to do that adjustment on my own. Problem is, I can't get a sacroiliac joint adjustment while I'm in this condition with a broken sternum because they really have to contort you in a particular way and like reef your body. They kind of pull your pelvis this way and your shoulders this way. I stayed in the hospital. By the next morning, I couldn't get out of bed without extreme pain. Just standing was extremely painful. And I was like, oh man, I haven't had this pain in years, like 15 years. And I was so frustrated because it was so easily avoidable. The doctors took me right off the blood pressure medication. They're like, no, we're not going to fool around with that anymore. And because my blood pressure was so low, 77 over 57. My regular blood pressure is usually like 123 over 80, right? Between high 70s and low 80s. I understood that they put me on blood pressure medication because I just had open heart surgery, but they were screwing around with it too much, clearly. So either way, I got home. The problem wasn't my cuts. The problem wasn't my heart. They did a high contrast ultrasound to make sure there was no inflammation in my heart after the fall, and everything was fine. The problem was I was moving like a 90-year-old man when I got home because my back pain was so bad. It's frustrating being a massage therapist, knowing exactly what the problem is and not really being able to do much about it. I've been doing some stretching, doing some exercising. In the last day, I got on some muscle relaxants, and that made a huge difference. That brought me from like a mood of like 3 out of 10 up to like a 7 or 8 out of 10 because that pain was gone. Every time I moved, I was in intense pain. If I stood still or lied still, I didn't feel any pain. But every time I tried to move, which you're encouraged to do so you don't get blood clots, and you just want to keep your strength and cardiovascular system up to a certain degree, I couldn't do that. Yeah, that's what I went through after my open heart surgery. I made a short and everything was fine when I did my short a couple days after my open heart surgery. And it was about day 5 after my open heart surgery that this happened. It was on the Monday. So they kept me till the Tuesday, and I left on the Tuesday very disorganized in the hospital. I'll make another video about how I stuck to Carnivore while I was in the hospital, but this is just an update video on how everything went. So now the pain is a very manageable pain because I have muscle relaxants, and now because the pain isn't as bad, I can do stretching a little more aggressively, and I'm getting by okay. I live on my own. My brother and sister-in-law had my dog, Canine. He's a real special little guy because he's a rescue from the Dominican Republic, and it's like the poor dog has shell shock, and she's really good with dogs. So it was really nice. They had my dog, and it was a good environment for him. So I just got him back literally a couple hours ago. So it's nice having him back home. He spent the first 20 minutes just smiling, and he's one of those dogs that just doesn't smile much. So it was really nice having him home and knowing that he's happy to be here. And yeah, everything's back on track. I'm doing walks whenever I can. That's what I went through in the hospital. I think it was a pretty needless thing to go through. It was doctors just goofing around with medications at my expense. And I didn't even need to be on those medications to begin with. So, because they took me off of them. They realized it was better for me to not be on them to begin with. Why were they screwing around with something that I didn't even need to be on to begin with? I asked them that, and they didn't have anything to say to that. They're the ones that suggested taking me off of the blood pressure medication. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing much better now than I was just a couple days ago or a few days ago. And my next video will be coming out Friday. My videos are Monday and Friday. I am a little out of breath because I've been lying around for 2 weeks. So it's easier for me to get a little winded from doing nothing just because I've been living like a vegetable for 2 weeks. It's very boring. Anyway, thanks a lot. I hope you take care. And just always be your own health advocate. You don't have to contradict what your doctors say just for the sake of contradicting, but it's always good to try and learn and understand what they're doing because they're as imperfect as the next person, and they have motivation other than just you to put you on medications. And you want to make sure that you are not on so many medications that you, 1, can't afford to live, 2, you can't afford the health complications from being on them because they have side effects, and 3, the drug interactions from being on too many medications create new problems, and then they want to put you on more medications for those new problems that you're dealing with. Simplicity is better. Thanks a lot. Take care.